Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to just, one of my usual commentary videos that I like to do. Just as a quick side note, this is being recorded the day before Deltarune Chapter 5 comes out. The reason why that's relevant is because I'm gonna make sure I upload this video after I'm done recording all my Deltarune Chapter 5 stuff. Because look, as much as I love Digital Circus, I love Deltarune too, and I want to give it a decent chance to, shine in a spotlight on my channel without these videos affecting each other. I don't want this one to overshadow those or those to overshadow this. I want to give them their own space to coexist, so, it's gonna be a little bit before this comes out. Just letting y'all know, this is the day before Deltarune Chapter 5, so, Anyways, I know it might seem random, right? Maybe not so random if you've watched some of my Let's Plays, where I'm just yapping about random stuff and I happen to bring it up. But I am a huge Digital Circus fan. Huge. We're talking to the point where I have rewatched this show so many times, probably to an unhealthy amount. It's, wow, it's a lot. It's insane. I don't even know how many times I've rewatched Digital Circus now at this point. I don't know how many times it's been. It's such a crazy number that I can't even begin to try and round off where that number could be. Long story short, I absolutely adore this show. It has to be, in my top 5. Potentially, I could maybe throw it top 3. It is incredible. And I'm gonna be honest, I have my own reasons for connecting with the show as much as I do. But I would like to say before I go on any further, of course, because I feel like it's necessary to do this. If you have not watched Digital Circus, and you're watching this video now, if you have not watched all 9 episodes of The Amazing Digital Circus, I highly recommend you leave this video, go do that right now. It's peak. I swear, I promise you. This is not glaze, it's peak. I swear, please go watch it. Because I'm not gonna go into some full detailed outline of every episode in the series or something and have this be a 3-hour long video or something, but I am gonna occasionally bring up some spoilers from some episodes here and there, especially from the finale at some point. So, if you guys have not watched the show, I just highly recommend you go do that now. Or if you don't care, then, you could watch this, I guess, but I'd really recommend it before I spoil you on things, because it's really good. There's a reason I like it so much, okay? I'll just say that. So anyways, that out of the way, spoilers onward, going from here, so yeah. But The Amazing Digital Circus, I just want to go into this a bit, because I'm going to let myself just yap. I have no outline for this video. Usually I have a guideline sometimes for these videos on the side, so I have little bullet points to talk about. I don't have that here. This is pure yap, okay? So I don't know how long this video is going to be. I don't know what I'm even going to really talk about. I just want to talk. I just want to talk about it, because I feel like I should have made a video on this show so long ago, but I decided to wait till the finale came out on YouTube before I did that. So I want to go into, first of all, my history with Glitch Productions as a channel as well, before I get into anything directly about Digital Circus. I was a fan of SMG4 back in the day. Huge fan. We're talking, I was always there every, Saturday for him to release a new video. I was always there. I think I got into SMG4 because of, Who Let the Chomp Out? That classic video. That was literally the first video I ever saw from him when I was in, I think I was in elementary school. I probably shouldn't have been watching that back then, but I was. So, I saw that. I got into SMG4. And, of course, I was a big fan of his stuff for a long time. I still am. But of course, over time, he then announced a little show called Meta Runner, and I watched all that, and I loved Season 1. I thought it was great. I then remember at some point after, he had, what was it? They announced Glitch Productions as like a separate YouTube channel, and that's where they were not only airing a movie cut of the first season of Meta Runner, but they were going to start airing Meta Runner Season 2 and then eventually 3 on there as well. I have, basically, I'm not trying to brag, but all I'm saying is, this stuff means a lot to me because I've been here from, like, the very beginning of Glitch Productions at the very least, and I've watched SMG4 for an extremely long time, so it's like, all of that combined makes it all hit a bit harder for me, which is why I want to talk about this. But, you know, I've been there from the beginning. I absolutely love Meta Runner, by the way. I would highly recommend watching that show. Don't worry, there will be no spoilers here about other Glitch shows. All I'm saying is I love Meta Runner. I think, yeah, the animation might be a little wonky, but I still think it's worth watching. It is definitely worth watching if you are a fan of indie animation, and you're willing to put up with animation that's a little bit wonky here and there, but if you're willing to put up with it, then I think it's definitely worth a watch. Anyways, you know, they released Sunset Paradise. I think after Sunset Paradise is Murder Drones, I think, right? I think Murder Drones came next. And then finally, we hit Digital Circus. Now, I love all of SMG4 and Glitch's stuff, respectively. But when Digital Circus came out, funny enough, it was the one pilot they released where I liked it, but I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of a little about it at first. I didn't really care that much. I was like, this is cool. Hopefully they'll do some more cool stuff with the later episodes or whatever. I wasn't like really fully into it. But then episode 2 came out, and I would definitely say, with all the stuff that happened, like Gummy Goo... Okay, sorry, I had to like cut the recording for a sec. I'm back. Anyways, as I was saying, Gummy Goo, right? The stuff that happened with Gummy Goo, it definitely pushed me in the right direction. I was definitely like, oh, okay. Okay, I kind of see what they're going for here. That's cool. I'm down. But of course, I still wasn't, like, some huge fan. I still feel like I connected more with, like, Meta Runner, or Sunset Paradise, even Murder Drones. But then episode 3 happened, and I'd say this was my big turning point for Digital Circus. Episode 3, as the entire Digital Circus community knows, was like probably the first like major episode to finally like really hit. Like more than the pilot, more than Gummy Goo, like this episode with Kinger and everything that happened with that. It hit to another level. It made it kind of finally showed, in my opinion, a blueprint for what, like, it kind of really showed that they were going to really take themselves seriously. I mean, Gummy Goo proved that enough, in my opinion, but I feel like the stuff with Kinger really showed, oh yeah, this is what we're doing. This is what's happening. This is what this show is going to be for sure. And from that moment on, I rewatched those episodes, those 3 episodes, so many times. Whether that be on my own, which I've done many times. I've also, I do count the reaction videos I've watched, because a lot of the reaction videos I've watched on Digital Circus, they don't even cut out a single scene. So it's like, also if we're counting reactions, I do count that personally. That just rewatching the show through seeing people's reactions as well. I've done both many times. Rewatching it on my own and through reactions. More times combined than I could even fathom. I can't even think of a number, as I said earlier, to try and round it off to. Like, I genuinely have no idea. But yeah, I started rewatching those 3 episodes a lot. Anytime I'd see videos, like I'd start seeing videos pop up in my feed, reacting to the Amazing Digital Circus, and it'd be like, you know, just all 3 episodes, people reacting to it. And when that would happen, there goes the next, like, what, hour of my day? Because I would just watch it. Because I started really loving the show. I started, like, it wasn't, like, to the degree it is now, because I'd say it just got more extreme as, like, the longer we went. But episode 3 was definitely the beginning of me, like, really liking the show. But then episode 4 came out, and I think I actually made a Twitter post about this around the time it came out. I don't remember exactly what I said or when I even made it. I might have made it the day that the episode came out. But as y'all know, if you've watched it, episode 4 is heavily centered around Gangle. And oh my god, I connected so deeply with that episode. Look, I've never worked fast food. I've only ever had one job that I now don't even have anymore at the time of recording this. But it has nothing to do with that aspect of the episode. I'm talking about Gangle herself. Like, the concept, right, of a show actually going over, like, the types of struggles Gangle clearly has with, like, I guess we consider it masking, right? And just, like, trying to act like someone she's not to either please other people or as a coping mechanism or whatever it is, right? Defense mechanism. You get what I mean. Believe it or not, this is something I've done before. I don't really do it anymore that much, but when I was younger in, like, middle school, I'd say, oh my god, this was such a big thing. Like, I just, I'd try and, for example, match the energy in the room, when in reality, that's not how I wanted to act at all. Or, like, in situations of just trying to, be more efficient. And so for that sake, I'd kind of throw my emotions down the drain and just act completely different from how I actually want to act. I've had friendships in middle school that weren't even really me. They were just basically a fake little version of me thrown on for the sake of just, I don't want to be bullied by people, or I don't want to seem weird. So I would just match the energy in the room. If I was with very, very, like, I guess a hyper group of people, I'd act very hyper around them. If I was, with a very more chill group of people, I'd act more chill, that type of thing. But I definitely did have a default that I always, like, went to, where, like, I was just kind of a bit more over the top. Because, honestly, when I was younger, even to this day, if you guys can't tell in my videos, I'm more, like, low energy. Like, yeah, I will have my moments, but I'm mostly low energy. That's just kind of how it's always been. I felt that way in middle school, too, but I never really allowed myself to express that much. I always tried so hard to be like everyone else there. And here's the thing. For some people, like, that might say, this isn't the exact same thing Gangle struggles with. I feel like with certain things, like the characters and their struggles, you can interpret them in many different ways, right? And you can relate to specific aspects of their troubles. Like, I wasn't doing the exact same thing Gangle was, But I was doing something similar, and that hit me so bad. Like, I cannot even describe to you how, like, I just finished that episode and I was actually in awe. I was like, oh my god, wait. This is like, it's not the same exact thing, but god, I've done this before. I had a whole period of my life where this is very similar to what I was doing. It hit hard for me. And I feel like, okay, ignore the truck outside. I really hope whatever music I put in the background will, like, drown that out. Anyways, but you know what I mean. I really connected with that episode, and I think that right there might have been the true beginning. Like, I know episode 3 I said is what kind of kickstarted it, but I think this was, like, the proper beginning. I started watching this show, like, rewatching it on my own and through reactions 10 times more than I was before. It was just 4 episodes, and yet for some reason, I feel like even to a degree back then, even I didn't understand why I liked it so much. And yet, I would just keep rewatching it over and over again. I'd say at least a couple times a week, I would have either rewatched it on my own or through a reaction video. Sometimes more than that. Like, it was insane. And then, of course, when we started getting the more rapid episode releases, like with episode 5 and 6 and episode 7, I feel like it made it even crazier. You know, I just kept going and going and going and going, and it was crazy. You know, it was something I've never experienced before. Like, for example, I adore My Hero Academia. I adore some other anime I really like, because I mainly watch anime. That's mainly the type of shows I watch. And even so, or even something like Steven Universe that I love so much, I've never ever had this experience with a show or anime before, where I'm here constantly re-watching these episodes over and over and over again, and I'm not getting bored. I love watching it so much that I would never get bored. Sometimes if I had nothing better to do, I would go out of my way to look up Digital Circus reaction videos. If I had nothing better to do, or I was bored because I knew it was the perfect thing to entertain me for the next couple of hours. It was honestly so crazy. And like I said, it definitely reached a point eventually where, you know, we keep going and going with these episodes releasing back to back to back, starting with episode 5, I would say. And at that point, I was just fully, like, I think it was over. I was just fully into it now. I'd be so hyped for the new episode releases. And then, of course, I still adore episode 5 to 8, of course, but we're going to kind of skip over those because I don't want to yap forever about every single episode. Okay? Because, like, look, I could go on for hours. I don't want this video to be hours long. I could probably make this video 5 hours long of me going... Maybe I should do that one day. Maybe one day y'all will see me make a video that's 5 hours long. Me, like, hyper-analyzing the entire show because it would be so much work, but I feel like it's actually, like, the one show I'd be willing to do that for. Because, oh my god, I love it so much. But my point is, we're going to skip over me directly discussing those episodes. Because I kind of want to get straight to the point here. As much as I love them. When episode 9 came out, the finale, I did see it in theaters. I saw it with some of my friends. I think on the 7th, I saw it with them. 7th of June. And I went into that theater kind of nervous. I'm gonna be honest, as someone who adores this show. We rewatched the entire show before we went, by the way. We were at one of my friends' houses, and we just rewatched the entire thing. Like, we were mostly yapping and stuff during it, but I was, like, kind of locked in the whole time, like, as per usual when I rewatch it on YouTube or with reaction videos, like... And I would, you know, we rewatched the whole thing, so we were, like, fully, I guess, refreshed on everything before we went to the theater. And when we did, I was kind of nervous, because I wasn't spoiled on anything, thankfully, but all I knew was that there were a lot of people saying the ending was bad. And that got me nervous. I was like, wait, what? You know, like, I kept hearing that online, I'm like, oh god. Because, believe it or not, I've had a recent thing that's been happening because of a lot of shows I've been hearing about that I don't even watch, that just keep ending and people keep getting really frustrated with their endings. I've kind of started gaining trust issues with a lot of new shows to the point where a lot of, like, anime I want to watch now, I will try and go out of my way to look for an anime that's already finished. Just so I know its general reception before I even watch it, so I know if it's worth it, because I've always been one of those people where a beginning, middle, and end are so important to me. I will never understand people that, like, oh, this show's peak, you should watch it, but the ending is trash, though. Just don't watch the final season, it's garbage, but everything else, oh yeah. Like, oh, Tokyo Ghoul, yeah, watch season 1, do not ever touch the show again after that. Then why am I gonna watch season 1? Like, I always hate when people do that. Like, they act like, oh, but it's different, because no, not really. That's still a part of the story. If you have to skip out on parts of the story to enjoy the story, I feel like that kind of shows the story is not as good as you're making it out to be. What do you mean you have to skip entire portions of it to truly enjoy it? That's not good, you know? Point being, before I go on a whole yapping session about that, I've kind of always been a person that really needs a beginning, middle, and end to truly appreciate a story, you know? Like, as much as I love Deltarune, I will never be able to truly, fully appreciate it until I see that ending. Not that I'm saying it could be bad. I trust Toby with my whole heart. I believe he's going to make a fire ending for that game. But it's one of those things where I will never truly be able to appreciate the story for what it is now until I have its conclusion. That's just kind of how I am. And with Digital Circus, I felt the same way for so long. Because it's like, as much as I adore this show, without its ending, it's hard for me to fully appreciate it for what it is, right? So I went into that theater kind of nervous. I was like, oh god, are they gonna fumble this? Like, I keep hearing online that people were not happy with the ending. I go into the theater, you know, I watch it, and I don't think I've ever felt happier in my life walking out of a movie theater before. And also, I don't think I've ever been more excited, as worried as I was. I don't think I've ever been more excited to see a movie in my life or go to a movie theater ever, because this was one of the first times where I was going to a movie theater to watch something I cared about to such like a deep level. And so, it's just after everything, I loved the ending. I absolutely love what they were trying to convey with it. And it's just, oh my god. The 2 weeks in between the theater release and the YouTube release were an agonizing wait for me, even though I already saw it, because I so badly wanted to not only be able to rewatch it myself, but also I wanted to be able to see all these people's reactions, because I'm still not done with all of them. But, you know, I've already rewatched the finale through rewatching it when it, you know, when it premiered live on, like, YouTube, on, you know, like, a Glitch's YouTube channel. I not only rewatched it then, but I've also been watching a bunch of reactions over the last few days. I've been watching so many reactions, man. And these are not only just random reactors, these are reactors that I've seen so many reaction videos over, like, the last couple years. These are some reactors that I've been watching react to this show for years, and I'm seeing them finally finish it too. Like, it's just, oh, it's such a crazy feeling, it really is, that this show is, like, finally over. I feel so sad, but I also feel so satisfied at the same time. It's such a weird feeling. And it's like, after everything that's happened at this point, I feel like when people, like, and this is not just me glazing either, I feel like people are being way too harsh on the ending. And I'm gonna say why. Because at this point, as someone who has overanalyzed way too much of this show, to an unhealthy degree, I probably have some type of hyperfixation for this show. Either that, or I have a problem. But anyways, I have really been, like, you know, someone who's rewatched this so many times over, all these episodes, over and over and over again. For almost every week since, like, episode 3 or 4 came out. It's just, I feel like over time, I stopped caring about the general lore of the Digital Circus. Because I feel like after you've seen it enough times, and I mean, hey, I've even seen people, you know, grasp this on their first watch through with reactions I've watched, but I feel like Digital Circus is very clearly a show about the characters and how they are dealing with the entire situation they are in. And I understand that, yes, of course I want to know more about CNA, and I want to know more about all the stuff going on with that and how this all came to be, but at the end of the day, this is a show about the characters, you know? Because I'm gonna be honest, if we got an ending that just revealed all of the lore about the Digital Circus, but we didn't go over the characters, like, we didn't go over the characters and that was, like, the trade-off, I would have probably not liked the ending that much. I feel like the reason I absolutely adore the ending is because it's about the characters. And I'm very happy they went and steered in that direction. Even if it did sacrifice us getting some, like, lore about the digital circus and CNA, I'm at least very happy that they traded it out with something that I think is way more important, which is the characters. This show has always been about the characters. That has been the main focus of everything. Think about it, to the point where Goose works herself. Remember a long time ago, if y'all were a part of the digital circus community a bit ago, Goose made an entire, like, post, I forgot where, but Goose made a post basically saying, like, up to I think she cut it off at episode 6, but she basically said around, I think the time episode 2 came out, or episode 3 came out, she was like, oh yeah, these next episodes are going to be about, like, these specific characters or whatever. It was to the point where these episodes would have entire moments with these characters, because that was the point. A lot of people consider episode 3 to be Kinger's episode, episode 4 to be Gangle's episode, episode 5 just kind of be a little bit of Ragatha, I guess we'd say Ragatha, right? Episode 7 to be more about Jax, right? Episode 8 to be more about Kane, and episode 9 to, of course, just be about, I mean, a lot of Jax, but also about everything in general and wrapping everything up. Like, this show is very character-centered, and I feel like that's why I'm so satisfied with the ending. Yes, I would have loved to know more about the digital circus, but let's keep it real for a minute. The characters are kind of more important. If I had to pick one over the other, I'd pick the characters and learning more about them and everything with that than learning anything more about the digital circus, if I had to be honest. It's just really cool to see the way they did everything. Because one take I've seen, and honestly, it's a theory I've had for a long time, and it's cool that the show finally confirmed it for me. I always believed in, like, digital clone theory, or as people like to say, Soma theory. Like, I have believed in that theory for, like, such a long time. And seeing it happen, it's not the only reason I like it. It's not just the euphoria of, oh my god, my theory was right. It's also just the way they handled it was amazing. Because, you know, I've seen a lot of people complaining about that. Like, oh, but they're clones. It's over. This was all for nothing. Their brain scans, it was all for nothing. The entire show was a waste of time. No. What are you talking about? The entire ending was made to show that even though they are not even their original selves, that it still all has meaning. It's not for nothing. Like, they still have meaning because they are conscious beings. Yes, they are not technically people, but they still exist. They still have emotions, feelings, human feelings. Like, they still experience all those things. Like, they are still, like, what makes them that different from an actual person aside from the fact that they're trapped in a simulation? What really makes them that much different aside from that? They are still their own people. As Pomni literally says, Abby is out there living her best life, and in here, I'm just Pomni. And she's not saying that in a way to degrade herself, as I've seen some people take it. No, she's saying that in a way of, like, yes, I'm not really Abby, right? She's out there, you know, living her life, but I still am me. I'm still my own person. But, you know, I'd rather still be Pomni because, you know, the real Abby is doing whatever she's doing. And the whole thing is supposed to be like, hey, they still matter. Who cares if, oh, but their real selves are never going to know about it. Oh, but the world in general in that universe will probably never, ever learn about this. So what? It's not about them. It's not about the bigger world of the amazing digital circus. It's about the characters that are trapped in the circus and their lives and how they're going to be doing things moving forward. That's what this is about. It is not about if someone's going to know or any of this stuff. It's about what they're doing now. And I feel like that they just did it so well, because I've seen a lot of people hate the idea of like a clone theory or soma theory. I've seen people hate on that theory so much over the years because they're like, oh, it would make everything meaningless. But I've always thought, no, it wouldn't. Why does them being clones make them meaningless suddenly? Like, why do people have that mindset? Like, oh, they're clones, therefore this was all for nothing and the entire show was a waste of time. And all of this was for nothing because they weren't even real people. Like, I feel like the way that's taken is just... I feel like if you think that, you have not truly, like, watched the show for what it is. And I know that it's hard for me to really say that because I'm someone who has watched this show so many times over. I've already seen the finale. With me rewatching it myself, or through reactions, I've probably already seen the finale well over, like, 13 times since it came out on YouTube. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. This is being recorded on the 23rd. Didn't it drop on YouTube on the 19th? Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. But, you know, I've already seen it so many times, and I've already, like, dissected so much of it and what it all means, and it's like... Every time I rewatch it, I feel even happier. I feel even more satisfied. I feel like, oh my god, this was the most perfect ending they could have made, and I wouldn't have it any other way. This show that I have connected with, it's just, it's so good. It's so great. And I feel like the way they did the whole brain scan thing was so perfect. Like, they really made sure to make a point that this wasn't all for nothing. That this did mean something, you know? Yes, they aren't real people, technically, but they still are their own conscious beings that exist and live somewhere. Like, at the end of the day, this is about them. This is not about anything else, you know? They are the characters of this show. They are what's important. Yeah, we don't know about the origins of CNA and how they even managed to make this technology or anything, but we still know, like, the most important details, which is the characters and what's going on with them. Because I still feel like the scene where they all, like, learned about what they were doing in the real world was so amazing. That was just, like, peak. That was peak cinema. That might be, debatably, in my opinion, one of the best scenes in the entire show. Like, in the top 2 or top 3 best scenes in the entire show. It just makes everything come together and tie up in a nice, neat little bow for all of the characters. Even Jax. And it's just like, it's so perfect. And I know it might sound like glaze, but seriously, to me it's so perfect and I love it so much, man. This show means so much to me. And I feel like the reason I've connected with it so much isn't just because of episode 4. It's also just because the entire show is about characters and them going through their own struggles. Believe it or not, I relate a decent bit to Ragatha as well. Like, there's so much, like, being a people pleaser. Yeah, I felt that. I felt that really bad. Like, I feel like there's little aspects of all these characters that I can take in a little bit. And I feel like that could be such a big reason I connect with it so much. Because I feel like every character in this show, like main character, I'm not counting Gummy Goo or something, I mean like the main cast of the Digital Circus, I feel like there's some little thing I could take from each one of them that I can relate to, even just a little bit. And it makes every single scene with these characters and all these things, whenever they're going through something, whenever I'm rewatching it, it makes it all hit so much harder because even if it's not fully, there's at least a little part of me that I see in them. And it's like, oh man, it's so crazy. It really, really is. but you know what I mean. It's just so... It's so much. And I'm gonna be honest, I feel like this show, to a degree, has definitely made me feel better. Like, I'm gonna be so honest. I've always said this on my channel. I always try and make an effort to not, like, bring up anything, like, too personal. Because, you know, as it might seem like it's, you know, it might seem like it's not the case. But, you know, my life isn't perfect, right? Like, I feel like everybody has some things going on behind the scenes that they have to deal with, and things that can definitely take a toll on them. And of course, while I won't directly bring up any of those said things, I will say I feel like this show has helped me heal just a little bit. You know, just seeing it over and over again, and really just every time I rewatch it, I feel like I notice something new, and it's such a great feeling. Seeing these characters that I think, to a degree, every one of these characters, I can take a little bit of something out of them. And there's something in there that I relate to. It made me feel so good whenever I watched it. It was just so awesome to see a show that delved so deeply into, like, characters' emotions and what they were dealing with. That, like, you know, like, how they coped with it, too. That just made it work so well for me. Like, it's one of those things where I get if this is not somebody else's favorite show in the world. Because I feel like it's one of those things where, you know, there's a lot of games out there, for example, that some people deeply connect with, that I'll play and say, it was pretty good, but I don't really get it. But at the same time, I do kind of get why people will connect to these things. I don't, because there are a lot of things out there that, like, people connect to so deeply because they have experiences that maybe a lot of those characters in said game or other show, that they can relate to so much. Because, like, basically my point being is when I see people absolutely adore something that I did enjoy, but I don't really understand the glaze, I've kind of, ever since I've watched Digital Circus, I've kind of just taken a step back and just kind of understood this could be their Digital Circus, you know? Just thinking of it from my point of view. This could be their amazing Digital Circus. So it's kind of hard to judge them, because those characters definitely went through some crazy stuff, but it's not stuff that I can empathize with it, of course, but I can't, like, it's not a thing that I've gone through, so it doesn't hit nearly as hard for me. But there are people that are going to play or watch this, and it is going to hit with them so hard when it finds the right person. And I've just kind of come to realize that, you know, with how much I adore Digital Circus, and probably, I don't think I'm ever going to get tired of it. I really don't think I will ever get tired of it. I bet 10 years from now, I'm still going to be glazing this show. I'm probably still going to be rewatching it, because it's like the perfect show for me. It has all those little elements that I really want in something like this. And like I said, ever since I've watched The Amazing Digital Circus, I've kind of come to understand why some people could fall in love with a game that I've played. And I'm like, it was really good and I really do like it, but I don't, like, I've always been the type of person that's like, but I don't get why people are, you know, they're kind of overhyping it. They're kind of glazing it a bit much here, aren't they? But ever since getting so into Digital Circus, I'm just like, no, I might not get it, but what I do understand is that it makes sense, because the stuff those characters went through and the story beats and other things that happened, that can resonate with someone just as much as Digital Circus resonated with me. And that could be why they love it so much. While I personally won't understand it, it could be because of their personal struggles and the things they deal with and the things they've gone through that caused them to connect with that thing so much more than me. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It kind of shows that that thing reached its intended audience. It reached the people that it was supposed to reach, you know? And I feel like Digital Circus was that for me. It reached me, the type of person this show, I think, was really made for, you know? Of course, not saying people outside of that can't enjoy it, of course, but I feel like the people it will most deeply resonate with, I feel like after all of these years, I've never had a piece of media, a game, a show, a movie, anything that has ever connected to me on such a personal level. And I think Digital Circus is that for me. Digital Circus is that thing I've been waiting all of these years for, to finally be that big thing that I connect to more than anything else. And I feel like, I feel like it hit me. It hit its intended audience, which is me. It definitely did it. Because, oh my god, I love this show so much. And there's so many other things that I'd love to yap about. But you know what? Like I said earlier, who knows, maybe one day, if I'm not too lazy and I really want to do it, I might make an entire analysis of this show. I know that, that's not my usual type of content at all, but, I don't care. You think I care? Absolutely not. I'm doing it anyways. You think I care? I don't care if it gets, 5 views. I'm doing it anyways because I want to. Consider it a personal project I'd be doing for me, because I love this show so much that I think I'm willing to do that. Maybe a year or two down the line, I might finally gain the confidence to lock in and do that. And if I do, you guys will definitely be the first to hear of it, because oh my god, this is the one thing I'm willing to go so far out of my way for. The original plan before episode 9 was even announced to be in theaters, by the way, I wasn't fully thinking of doing it, but there was a part of me debating on actually reacting to the finale when it premiered on YouTube. Doing a reaction video, something I've never done before. I was thinking of doing it just for that finale, because of how much I absolutely adore this show. But it came out in theaters, and I wanted to see it with my friends, so, I made that trade-off. But you guys get what I mean. This show, I'm surprised it took me this long to finally make a video about it, because I love this show so much. It means, so much to me, and just, it just, to me, it always really will forever, kind of suck that, it got the community it got, because it deserves so much better. This show deserves a better community more than anything. And it definitely will that will always kind of annoy me a bit. The fact that it got, such a definitely very toxic community. And for the type of show and the type of people it's targeting, you would think that it wouldn't. You would think it'd get the complete opposite. You would think it'd get a community of people that, resonate so deeply with it that, you wouldn't see stupid drama popping up every other week. But unfortunately, it became one of those things where there was stupid drama popping up every week. And that, as someone that's been a part of the Digital Circus community for a long time now, that will forever definitely be a little annoying that it definitely got to some of the wrong people and caused complete and utter chaos to be spewed throughout the community at times. But aside from that, I've always said this, I feel like you should never let a community ruin something for you. Because I know there's plenty of people that, for example, won't play Undertale because they feel like the community was cringe or whatever, or won't watch My Hero because the community is cringe. Who cares what the community thinks? This is about you. You're the one that's gonna watch/play this. Who cares what they're saying, you shouldn't let a community ruin something for you. That's always been my take. If a community is really overly toxic or whatever, you should not let that community ruin your fun, because that thing you watch could change everything. Somebody might not watch Digital Circus because they heard how bad the community was, but one day they might end up biting the bullet and watching it, and they might end up loving it just as much as me, or maybe even more, I feel like, I've said this, if somebody's watching this video that hasn't finished Digital Circus or hasn't watched it, I know I've definitely spoiled a couple things, but seriously, please go watch it. I think even beyond just the final revelations of the show with brain scans and stuff, I feel like there's so much more to get from the characters in the earlier episodes too. There's so much more to the show than just the lore and, how does this work and how does that work? There's so much more to this show than just that, And I feel like that's something that will always make it really special. And I think one last thing I'd like to yap about before I, of course, do the inevitable outro and end this video, that I'm not gonna lie, I've loved recording so much because I just get to yap. One last thing I'd like to mention, because I think it's important, especially to Digital Circus as a whole, and of course the finale, Jax, right? And if we're talking about Jax, we obviously have to talk about the one specific detail, you know, the whole big question the entire community has about him. Is he trans? In my opinion, and also not even just my opinion, Goose has straight up confirmed it herself, and so has I think a couple of the voice actors. Yeah, she's trans. Yeah, the answer's yes. I'm 99.9% sure the answer's yes. And if you guys have seen, I would say specifically, my Paper Mario the 1,000-Year Door Let's Play, since I don't think I've ever brought up the topic of, like, trans people at all in any other thing aside from that Let's Play. But, you know, for obvious reasons I brought it up, because, you know, Vivian, right? Need I say more? If you know, you know. And if you guys have watched that, you would know I have absolutely zero problems with that. I think, especially with everything that's happened in this show, and as I said, I have rewatched this show many, many times. I have seen Jax, and the specific things she said throughout the entire show that's made me go like, huh, okay. You know, like, I've definitely seen that a lot. Like, I've seen the signs. Of course, it's one of those things where, obviously, it's not 100%, like, for certain if it was the case until the finale happened. But I'm not gonna lie, even in the theater, when I saw that scene with Ribbit putting the bow on her head, I'm like, oh. Like, I feel like I clocked it immediately. I'm like, oh. And you just said something about it being deep and personal that you said to your mother, oh. Oh, I kind of clocked it almost immediately, but of course it was impossible to be 100% sure because you never know at this point. But thankfully, you know, the internet basically confirmed it, and especially Goose herself. The most important figure here, by the way. I feel like people don't realize Goose is a trans woman. Like, come on now. If Goose, a trans woman, is saying, not even just as a trans woman, but as the writer of the show, that Jax is trans. Jax is trans. Like, I've seen people cope so hard, being like, oh my god, it's just her headcanon though. Headcanon? She's the writer of the show. Like, I don't, like, what are you guys talking about? Like, it's been such, like, high tier level copium from people about that. And I feel like with the fact that someone like Zooble exists in the show, I'm surprised people are not taking as well. Like, do the majority of people that watch the show not know that Zooble is non-binary? Is that, like, a thing that they have not realized? Because, like, they are. Like, I mean, I don't think we'd be calling Zooble they, them in every episode for funsies, you know. Oh no, actually, Zooble's actually a woman, but, like, just uses they, them for funsies, right? Because that's definitely what we're doing. Like, come on now. There's something called a brain, and I think some people have to use it. But, you know, and I will say this. While I cannot directly relate to, like, Jax on that front, I mean, maybe to a slight degree, but not, like, fully. It's one of those things where, as someone who has many friends that are, like, trans, and not just that, but also many that are just, like, anywhere in LGBTQ in general, right? It's one of those things where I could definitely see from what a lot of them have said to me about Jax. It's like, I definitely think that, I can't directly speak on it, but I definitely think that when it comes down to, like, Jax, and especially, like, a lot of the trans conversation about him, it seems like, just from the outside looking in, that they did a really good job with that. And what she was, like, experiencing. Because once again, not only has Goose said she sees herself in Jax, which I think that's already a pretty good sign towards that, but, you know, on top of that, I've had some of my trans friends literally yap to me about Jax since the finale came out on YouTube. And it's like, yeah, from what I'm hearing, like I said, I can't bring up anything personal for me. I can't, like, relate to it directly, but, like, from what I'm just hearing from not only the internet, but also my own friends, seems like they did a really good job representing how one might feel when it comes down to what they did with Jax. So, while I can't have a fully fledged opinion on that directly, from the outside looking in, it seems like Goose did a really good job representing it. Which makes sense, because Goose is a trans woman. Like, I think a trans person would do a really good job at making good trans representation. The only thing I've seen that really bothers me, though, about people and how they're taking it online, is people saying it's bad trans rep. Once again, hard for me to really speak on this at all, but, like, I feel like from just what I've heard, how? Because the character's flawed, because, oh no, how dare Jax actually not be a perfect human being? Because I'm also one of those people that really hates that it seems like any type of LGBTQ plus representation they have to be perfect characters. Like, no flaws. They have to be Mary Sue characters that, like, have absolutely zero flaws whatsoever. You know? Nothing wrong with them. Just, oh my god, they have to be in perfect mental condition, perfect everything, perfect human beings. And if they are anything less than that, bad trans rep, or bad gay rep, or lesbian rep, or whatever you want to say, right? And it's like, what? So we're not allowed to have flawed characters if they're a part of a minority? Is that what we're trying to say? Like, that sounds really stupid, you know? Like, just thinking about it like that, it sounds really stupid, doesn't it? Because it is. It really is. I feel like, once again, I've heard a lot of people say this, that Jax is supposed to be taken as like a cautionary tale, right? And how, like, if you let yourself, like, if you suppress yourself for too long, it's eventually going to do something bad to you. It is eventually going to maybe cause you to spiral, cause you to do things that you're gonna regret, you know? Because once again, cannot relate on some crazy personal level to that specifically, but just from seeing what this is like, it's one of those things where I definitely understand what people are saying, even if I don't really get it myself, if that makes any sense. Like, yeah, I mean, if you were questioning your identity and you were spiraling over that, like, and then you just suppress it and just let everything go wrong because you're suppressing it, I could see how, even with a situation not like that, and with something else, that would easily make somebody spiral, you know? And I think Jax is showing that, like, you should not suppress yourself before it becomes too late. You should not just keep everything hidden away and basically let yourself internally rot until you end up doing something you regret. Hence, abstracting. We know what abstracting probably represents. You know, the whole deal. And I would also love to say that I still love what they did with Jax when it came down to, like, you know, like, her abstracting. I feel like it being done off screen was such a perfect choice, because, you know, I don't know how much people that are watching this video are into the Digital Circus community, but it has been a very long, ongoing theory that abstraction was supposed to represent, like, offing yourself, right? Can't say the actual word on here because YouTube might kill me, because that's unfortunately a thing, and I hate it so much. But, you know, that's been a huge theory for a long time now, that that's what abstraction represents, and so the fact that it happened off screen, I think, makes it hit so much harder. Because I know people have complained about it, but once again, I'm like, I think it's another amazing decision made by the show. Because when that happens, the person's just gone. As Jax just so happens to say in the scene where he opens the door to Kaufmo's room and he's abstracted inside right before he sees him, you'll never know before it's too late. And what's so ironic about that line is, you know, he's then seeing an abstraction literally a second later. Had to stop the recording again for a reason. Sorry if you keep hearing me, like, press the button to stop recording. Remember, I record these on my iPad. But, yeah, it's one of those things where, like, the way that was just done, the way it was done off-screen with Jax's abstraction, I think it was so perfect. Because, once again, people might be complaining, oh, but you just did basically what is the equivalent to a character death off-screen. Yeah, well, in this case, with what abstraction is probably supposed to represent, the fact that, like, you know, the fact that at the end of the day, in real life, in an actual real-life situation, there's no dramatic exit, there's no heartbreaking emotional scene, they're just gone. Like, if you are friends with a person who then offs themselves, they're gonna be gone. Like, you're not gonna have this big dramatic exit, like some finale fanfare to a play or something. Like, no, they're just gonna be gone. Like, and I feel like that's why, once again, as most things in this show, they did it so well. It's just like in a real life situation, you really wouldn't know, as she said in that scene, you'll never know until it's too late, and that could never be more true. Like, seriously, you will not know. It will just happen. And I'm not saying this like I have experience in this, you know? I have never had a friend that has done that, but just, like, you know, thinking about it from, like, just not only I've seen a lot of people that have gone through something like that, but also just, like, certain games and other pieces of media I've interacted with where stuff like that happens. It really is just instant. You are not going to get this gigantic, like, emotional scene where, no, they're gonna be gone. And it sucks, but that's one of the things that happens. And some people that might know somebody that happened with, it, you know, it's gonna suck. They're just gonna be gone one day. And that's that. End of story. There's no catch to it. There's no, like, they're just gone. And I feel like that's why the way that they did Jax and, like, her abstraction being off-screen was so perfect. And I love that so much. Of course, I hate the fact it had to happen, but I love the way that they did it. I feel like the way they did it writing-wise was so amazing and really got the message I think Goose wanted us to see across, that, like, you know, as some people have said, Jax could be considered a cautionary tale. Like, suppressing yourself to that degree could cause something like that to happen. You know, like, it could very well happen. And once again, while I cannot relate, I could see how that could happen, you know? And it's just like, it's so crazy. It really is crazy. I really think, once again, it might seem like I'm glazing, but seriously, as someone who loves this show so much, this is why it makes me feel like almost everything they've done in this show is so perfect, and why I will always forever appreciate it, even God knows how many years from now. Like, seriously, this show, I think, did everything they wanted to do well, and as we know, Pomni and Jax are supposed to kind of be the main characters, as confirmed by Goose. And especially with the finale being mostly centered around Jax, I feel like just everything with her was done so well. Like, oh my god, it was so crazy to watch. It really was. And I think that's really all I have to say on this matter. Because, as I said, I can't yap about this topic as much as I can with the other ones, because this is not something that I can relate to too much, unfortunately. So, you know. But yeah, anyways, I think I'm going to get on to the next segment now. Okay, but with all that being said, I think that's going to be it for this video. Now, I'm going to be honest, I would love to yap for so much longer about this. You guys don't understand. I would love to go on some 3-hour long yapping session about the entire show and all of its themes and messages and all the little things that people might not notice, and just, I would love to go crazy with it. But I don't really think I have the mental energy and the time right now to do something like that. I think I said this earlier, but if I ever want to do like a even bigger video than this one, because I think I have not been keeping track, because these have been a lot of separate like recordings, because I've had to pause and stuff. But like, I think we're either approaching an hour in this video, or we've already went over an hour. So just me trying to get my general thoughts on the show out has already led to almost an hour to maybe more than an hour worth of a video already. So, you know, at this point, I cannot imagine actually making a video, like, locking in and fully going into it. Because that, oh, you guys will have a 5-hour video on your hands if that happens. But who knows? I said this earlier, but maybe one day when I really feel like it, if I really have it in me, I might do like a full-on, like 3 to 4, maybe 5-hour long video of me just like going crazy, just talking about every little stupid thing. I might even pull up the episodes and be analyzing them as I'm talking about it and like scrolling through the, like, oh my god, I really would love to do that one day, but today is not that day. As I said earlier, this video will not be uploaded till probably after Deltarune, because if I'm keeping it honest, I just want to let Deltarune Chapter 5 have its time to shine. I just uploaded the video of me beating a secret boss in Deltarune, and so I don't want to upload this, like, sandwich it between that video and what is probably going to come out tomorrow at the time of recording this, which would be the first episode of Deltarune Chapter 5, so I really don't want to, like, have them overlap too much. So maybe a couple days after my final Deltarune Chapter 5 video, I will probably lock in and, like, you know, throw this video together, record some gameplay. You know, fun fact, I do like to always bring it up. I do just straight up record the gameplay. I don't take it off of a random channel, because I have fun doing that. I love handpicking a game and then just, like, recording it for a bit and then just, like, using it in the background of these videos. I find that to be so much fun. I just get to cherry pick whatever little game I want, and I can just do that. But yeah, point being, I love this show so much. I absolutely adore it. Definitely in my top 5, and it's probably never leaving that. As I said, I connected with this show so much, and it's crazy to think that it's over. It's crazy to think that it's done. I don't think I'm gonna like it any less. I don't think I'm gonna fall out of it, really. But it's just sad to know we're never getting more. But at the same time, as I said earlier, I'm one of those people that needs a beginning, middle, and end, I feel. And I feel like now that I have that, I feel satisfied to, like, an extreme degree. You know, like, I do feel satisfied. Like, this is the Amazing Digital Circus. This is how it is start to finish, and I could say with confidence that I do like it start to finish. I think I made a tweet about that when I saw it in theaters. I think it's safe to say I love this show start to finish with really no strings attached. Like, it's just so good for what it is. Oh my god, it's just... I will forever glaze this show, unfortunately. I will never not be annoying about it whenever it's brought up, and I'm in the general vicinity of that conversation. But, you know, that being said, this video was really fun to record. I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm surprised once again I did not make this video sooner. But with that being said, before I go on an even longer yapping session, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And yeah, this show will always hold a special place in my heart. And I will see you guys in the next video, whatever that will be. Bye.